Hello guys, today we are going to talk about Spring Boot application. We are going to build e-commerce website using Spring Boot, authorization, Spring Security, and for email sender we are going to use Mailtrap. We can go next to talk about REST. REST API is kind of a list of URLs in your server, in your internet, and with those endpoints, with those URLs, you can make some operation in your server. For example, for saving data in database, for controlling access. For example, some endpoint will be able to make operation only if you have role admin. In this course, we will build e-commerce with CRUD, that stands for create, read, update, delete. After that, we will make role control, some basic security, and email sender. Admin can create, edit, or delete products, like in WordPress, for example. In WordPress, we have admin dashboard, and in this admin dashboard, we can control everything that admin is able to do. So, user can get all products, write reviews, for example, it's like comments, add products to cart, and create order out of the cart. So after he will create order, he will get a message in email about this order, and that's pretty much it. Let's talk about what we are going to use for that. We are going to use JPA, Docker, and PostgreSQL. For security, we are going to use JWT, which means JSON Web Token. It is the best choice for you because you are a beginner. And after that, we are going to use Mailtrap for sending emails because it provides a free version of it for testing. So, next, we are going to use Lombok for avoiding boiler code. After that, we are going to use Mapper, which help us to avoid boiler code also. Here is the example of a mapper. Here we have DTO, which means a data transfer object. With this mapper, we can convert it to entity. Also, entity can be converted to DTO also. So DTO will be used by user. He will receive DTO and he will send it to server. After that, with using mapper, we can convert it to entity so that our JPA can work with it and save it in database. So entity will be used in our server and DTO is going to be used by user. He will receive it, he will send it with a body, and that's pretty much it. In the next video, we are going to use all of this for creating our environment, and that's it. So hello guys, today I'm going to show you how to create our environment for Spring Boot application. First, you need to download this idea here from jetbrains.com. It has like free 30-day trial, so you always can create new account using ProtonMail, so you can renew your 30-day trials. So yeah, it is very common. So after that, we need to download Docker. Here we have docker.com. You can download it for Windows or Mac OS. Here, as we see. Also, we can go to Spring Initializer. Here we need to choose Java and Spring Boot version of it. So, but first we need to create our database in Docker. with Postgres. So yeah, I have prepared code here, and also you can copy it from here. And after that, we need to paste and launch it. So yeah, we have launched Postgres. We can check it with this command, docker ps. So we see that it is completely okay. It is launched in port 5432. So we can launch it. If you don't have pulled Postgres, it's going to be pulled, so you need to wait a little bit more. So yeah, so let's come back to our Spring initializer. Here we need to choose Java, Maven, and a version of it. After that, we can change the name of our application. I'm going to name it eCommerce 2, since I already have backend of prepared version of it. So yeah, we need to change to 17 because it is the most stable version of Java for developing. And we need to add Spring Web, Spring Boot Tools, Web Tools, and GPA. After the GPA, we are going to add PostgreSQL for working with database in our Docker. So after that, we need to add Lombok. Everything else, such as email, mappers, and etc., we are going to add later while we will develop it. So yeah, that is for the start. It is enough. So yeah, we can tap the generate button. After that, we will get our file. We should unzip it. After we will unzip it, we can launch it using our ID. In my case, it is, as I said before, IntelliJ IDEA. You can, of course, use different IDEA such as VS Code or Eclipse, and you can download some plugins for those ideas also. So yeah, first we need to launch our application here, demo 2 in our case. After it's going to be launched, we can pass our application properties, and here we have localhost 5432 because we have usually Postgres is launched in this port, as we see before it in terminal. So here we need to change our name of our database. So we can check it. So yeah, here we have my database, so we should change it to my database here. After that, we need to change also username and password. So we have my user and my password. So yeah, let's change it also. Right now, you shouldn't worry about a meaning of all of this code. You should just keep in your mind that it is for connection for our database, and that's it. So you shouldn't worry about it. So yeah, here in application properties, we also have Hibernate update. So when we will create our database with launching this application Spring Boot, it is going to be created automatically. So yeah, also we have show-sql to see all commands in our terminal in our Spring Boot application. So yeah, everything else is for like GVT configuration, for email configuration, I mean mail trap. After this course, I'm going to delete my account, so don't worry about it. So yeah, and you should here choose your own. You can choose any GVT secret, you can choose any expiration. I recommend you to choose exactly this expiration. After that, I'm going to show you how to use Mailtrap. So here we have server port. It is 8080. It's actually usual for Spring Boot to launch this Tomcat server in 8080. So here we have our main application file. After that, we can launch it, of course. After we launch it, we should enable one block annotations. And yeah, it is completely okay. These problems are going to be solved while we will develop. So here, the main thing is that we have started eCommerce application, so don't worry about that. So yeah, in the next video, we are going to create our first CRUD for product, and that's it. Hello guys, today I'm going to show you everything about database schemas and how to implement it using DTO, mappers and entities in our Spring Boot application. But first I need to explain you everything about relationship between tables in our database and how they work with each other. First, here we see our user table. Here we have everything necessary and all connections with other tables such as cart, orders and comments. And we see that this one has more lines. It means that orders and carts, one user can create many orders and carts. So this is one-to-many relationship. And for orders, it means many-to-one relationship. So yeah, the same thing actually with comments. Here we have all information such as user ID that points to our user table. Also, we have product ID that also points to the product table. Here we see this many-to-one relationship and one-to-many relationship with order items, which means that orders can have multiple order items. The same thing actually with carts. One cart can have a lot of cart items, and all these cart items points to product. For example, if we create one product, we can create a lot of order items with that product. So we see the main concept of it. User can create a lot of carts and a lot of orders. A lot of carts and a lot of orders can have more cart items and order items. And order items can be created using one product. So we can create a lot of order items and cart items. The same thing actually with comments. Comments, user can create a lot of comments under one product. For example, we have one product and it has a lot of comments, and each comment has author. That's why we have this many-to-one relationship. From the perspective of users, it is a one-to-many relationship, which means that there is one user and a lot of comments. But from the comments perspective, it is one-to-many relationship that maps to these users. So that's why we have this product ID that actually points, it is like referencing to users. And that's pretty much it. With looking at this schema, database schema, you can understand how our database looks like. So we can go next. So we can go to our application and we need to copy all these dependencies here. We need it for mapping and for JSON Web Token. Actually, we forgot to add, in previous video, we forgot to add validation and Spring security. So that's why we go to Spring Initializer and add those dependencies. And after that, touch the Explore button and copy all these dependencies. And also, I forgot to mention in previous video that you need to launch Docker desktop before writing command of Docker run in your CMD if you're on Windows, or in terminal if you are on macOS or Linux. So yeah, this is our Maven repositories for JSON Web Token and for our map struct. So next we can create our packages, DTO, and after that we need to create mapper model, and in these packages we are going to create our database schema, our product DTO. So we remember how it looks like. If you don't remember, you can always check it in the first minutes of our video. So that's why we are going to copy it and create our ID, name, description, price. After that we need to create integer. Price is a big decimal because it can actually be as a float, so it is easier to convert it to float and stuff. Also we have our product have a lot of comments, that's why we create a list of comments. That's why we are going to create our comment DTO. Here we see also we have ID, we have content. Here we will have our actually content and text of comment. After that score is for making review, like out of 5, so you can make 1 to 5. It's like some kind of stars, some kind of a rating of our review. After that we need to create cart DTO. Cart will have user ID, obviously. Private. Of course it has user ID, so it means like link to our user, so that we can know that this cart belongs to our user. And also we have a lot of items, so that's why we're creating list of items, which means that one cart has many items. That's why we're creating list, not just one, but a list of comments. So we can add a lot of not comments but items. I'm sorry. So here we have a private long product ID, which means that it is connected to product, which means that one item can be connected to product. So the same thing actually with order DTO, but in order DTO we have a little bit more info, such as address, phone, and stuff like that. So I'm sorry again, private a private long user ID, which means it is connection to user ID. So our order will have information about our user that created that order. So private string phone. So sorry again, private, yes. So we have address, phone number, connection to user. Also we have a status of the order, as we've seen it in our database schema. We have status. Later we will create order entity in models. Also we have time of creation. That's why we need to import local date time. Every time I'm touching tab button so that it could this IntelliJ IDEA is doing it automatically, importing all the necessary stuff. If you don't understand why it is not working, you should just copy everything from the import, like you must add import Lombok data and stuff like that. So later, after that, we need to create product order item and make connection to product, create quantity, price, and so yeah, we here need to import list. After that we need to create our models. So here we have this order entity, and that's why we need to create order. After that product and stuff like that, everything that we have in product in a DTO. So comment order, and we actually already created order. Okay, then we can create user. This user will not be written in our JSON web token. That's why we do not create DTO for it, because user is not going to interact with user entity primarily. So that's why we don't create DTO. Later, after that, we need to create entity annotation. It will mean that our GPA will understand that it is int entity, and it must be it must create like a table out of it. So yeah, you need to copy all these annotations, because data stands for like getters and setters and stuff like that. We actually must do the same thing in DTO, but we will do it later. So we need to create ID. This annotation means that it is unique ID, and it must generate unique ID automatically, so that we don't need to fill it in our JSON web token. I mean in JSON body. Okay. After that, we need to do everything same like in our DTO, in our data transfer object, and the same thing, but here we write not comment DTO, but comment entity. So yeah, and we need to create new array list. So when we will create new product, there will be automatically created a list for it with comments, comment entity. So that's why we need to create right now entity of comment, the same thing, data, no args controller, all args controller, and stuff like that. Constructor, I mean. Here we need to create ID, the same thing, generation value, so that data will be generated automatically. So here, no args constructor, all args constructor, necessary annotations. Here we have a problem with importing comment, I guess, and we need to understand why we have this problem because of the relationship. We need to map it to our product, and one-to-many, because it is a product. And after that cascade, it will mean that when our product will be deleted, all comments also are going to be deleted. So there is no problem and issues inside of our server because of it. So after that, we need to fill our comment entity, and so that it would be the same like in our DTO, because mapper is going to make it automatically. That's why names must be same, so that we would map it easily. So many to one, which means that it has many to one relationship with product, which means that we could have a lot of comments under one product. And the same thing actually with user. One user can have a lot of comments. One user can write a lot of comments. That's why many to one relationship. So here we have problem with order because we don't have order status. That's why we need to import our order. Yes, and here I am doing it manually. Here, and we need to create our order status in order right now. we have this problem because of the relationship, and there is no relationship in user. That's why we have this problem. We are going to solve it later, but first we need to create our order entity so that our GPA or Jakarta persistence could create this table and can make all operations with database using those entities. Again, I will recall it. Our entities are going to be created so that user will fill DTO. This DTO is going to be converted to entity using mapper, and our entity is going to be saved using our repositories that works with GPA. So we can make all operations with database using all these entities. So you can say that these entities is going to be operated in server, while DTO is going to be sent by user, and also user is going to get all information in DTO, not in entity. So yeah, that's why we are creating them separately. I will show you later when we will create our services, our basic controllers, and so on. So here we need to create all information such as user, address, phone number, status, and here we are going to create this order status. We are going to make it enum, which means that we can have only several options: constants, out of preparing, delivering, delivered, and cancelled. So if we will try to fill something else, it's going to make like a problem. It's going to make error, like our server will return error because you cannot fill anything but only those strings. So we created our order. Here we are going to add all necessary relationships, such as user can have many orders. So in our table is going to be named user ID. It is very necessary. You must do the same. And because in Postgres there are many reserved words such as user and stuff, that's why you need to call them differently. Like your columns and your tables must be called differently. That's why we are adding those annotations. So after that we need to create a lot of order items, so our order can have a lot of order items, and different order items with different quantities. So the same here, actually one-to-many and mapped by orders. Yeah, so that's why we need to create after all these necessary operations such as cascade and orthogonal removal, we need to create our order item. So we need to create this like here. So it looks the same and we don't have issues with it. That's why we are going to create our order item. So let's begin. So we write, as always, entity, data, no args constructor, all args constructor. So constructor means that at the beginning is going to add it automatically. So this constructor is going to be created automatically. So we don't need to create constructors, getters, setters, and stuff like that. That's why we need to add data and constructor annotations. So after that, the same here with ID is going to be generated with the strategy identity. So it's going to be random and it's going to be unique. So after that, we create many-to-one relationship with order, which means that our order is going to have many order items. So the same thing actually with product. Our one product can have a lot of order items. So we can create, for example, 2 order items out of one product. You understand it, right? And also we have quantity here, and because our product is not going to be like infinite, is going to have its own quantity. That's why if product has 0 quantity, we cannot add it to our cart because there is simply no products. So that's why we are creating our cart model right now. Here we are doing the same thing. So we need to fill everything like in our DTO, like in our database schema that I showed you before. So our cart is going to have author, is going to have its owner who made this cart, it's going to have its own user. It cannot be false, obviously, because cart cannot be created without user. That's why nullable false. So we create list of cart items, which means that our cart has a lot of items. We need to create array list automatically, so that when cart will be created, array list with cart items are going to be created automatically. So here we have also one-to-many relationship with the mappings. Here we are doing the same. Actually, I could copy it, but I don't wanna, because you need to write it all by yourself. You need to get used to it so that you can automatically write it by yourself without internet or ChatGPT. So yeah, ID, generated value, generation type identity, so that it could be unique. After that, we are going to create cart, because our cart item has its own cart. Also, our cart has many-to-one relationship. Cart items can be a lot in one cart. And also our cart has owner. So you get it already here in this at this point, I guess. I hope so. So private product is going to have our cart item has its product, because cart item cannot be created without product. It is referencing to product, it is referencing to cart. Now we need to create like a quantity, some more information for cart item, and that's it. So we already created everything. So yeah, our entity. Okay, now it is very important. Here I will show you why we added security. Why we added security dependency. The actually same here, entity, data, so that data, again I will repeat, data is for getters and setters. For every attribute in our class, there is a method for manipulating with those attributes, such as ID, users, and stuff like that. So private string email, and here we have password, obviously, because user always has password, and also our user is implementing not this, user details from the security core, as you see in imports. So we have a problem here. Later, of course, we are going to solve it. Now we need to fill our data from that has our user. Here it's very important. Here we also having enumerated for role. Still we don't have role, that's why we need to create it right now. public enum role, just as we did in orders. Here we have only user and admin privileges. So each user is going to have its own role. Obviously, owner of the e-commerce is going to be admin, but everyone else are going to be users, so that they cannot create, for example, products. Only admin can create products and edit them. So user is only able to buy, add to carts, check all products, write comments, write reviews, and that's it. So here we need to create our we need to implement all these methods. It's going to be created automatically by IntelliJ IDEA. So here, not here, sorry, it's going to be I was right. Here we have different because it's going to return a collection. Here we have email, here in get username. Here we are going to return a list of the, I will explain it right now. So for example, our user has some authorities, such as role, right? And in our Spring security we already have this method for creating those authorities. That's why when our server will get authorities of the user, it will get a role user or role admin, so that it can check is it admin or is user. So is enabled true. We are going to make it later. Now for testing purposes is going to be just true. Everything is going to be true, and that's it. So here we have everything without any problems, as you see. Also we don't have problems here. Here everything is all right. Now we need to create our mappers, and I forgot about validations. Validations was created that for example, when we will fill name, and if user will try to fill it like empty, it will return this error that product name is required, so that he must fill it and it cannot be blank. So that's why we added dependency of validation. Here it means that price can only be positive. It cannot be 0, it cannot be negative, it must be positive always. For example, if someone will try to set a negative number, it's going to return error and it will not make operation. So the same thing with positive or 0, which means that our quantity can be 0 or positive only. So in comments, we have the same thing, but we just can copy it. Content is required, so that content must be filled for 100%. Here our minimum value is 1, maximum value is 5, so that user cannot make value of the score more than 1, less than 1, or more than 5, between 1 and 5. So here we have our card DTO. So here we have our card DTO. We need to check all this. I'm processing it. Sorry, I need to check this again. So yeah, here address must be required because we need place to deliver. The same thing for phone number for communicating, and for now our application is going to be cash on delivery only for now, but later we will add everything necessary, and later we will add picture when we will create front end. For now, our product has no picture. It's going to be only API for now, but later after this course I'm going to add picture, I'm going to add payment so that he can pay with card and or for choose cash on delivery, like in WordPress. So here, we need to add all these very important validations. For user, we are going to create validations because it has no DTO. That's why we need to add it here. Yeah, because our user have no DTO, because someone, when we will log in, it's not going to fill user DTO. It's going to fill login request. That's why it has no user DTO. So here we need to add card mapper. We are going to make sure that our DTO will be able to convert to card, and vice versa, our card entity can be converted to DTO, so that user could get DTO. All these problems are going to be solved later. For now, we just need to import our card, add mapping annotation, and is going to get user ID. Also, we need to map this one, add source, user ID, which means that our card has in itself user ID. So, okay, we will add it manually. Okay, so we see that our DTO has user ID, and as we see here, as target. And also, of course, it must be interface. Yes, because our mapper annotation is only for interfaces. So the same thing with vice versa, so that card can be converted to entity. Card DTO can be converted to entity, and here we need to make differently, vice versa. So I will explain you right now why we have these problems, and I guess it is because of the importing of those methods, I guess. Okay, we will solve it later. For now, we just will create cart item DTO to DTO, so that our items could be converted to inside of our cart we have items. That's why those items could be converted to entity and vice versa to DTO. That's why we are doing it here. Okay, mapping, source, the same thing here, and here we can check. So our cart item DTO has product ID, and our cart item entity has product.id. As we see here, cart item DTO product ID, and here we have cart item just product, which means that this product has its own ID in its class. So, and after that, we will solve all these problems later. For now, we just need to create all necessary mappers. Now we are going to create order mapper. Of course, we need to make it interface, add mapper annotation, so that our Spring Boot application could understand that is a component model of Spring, not something else. So, and after that, we need to make the same thing as we did in cart, but for orders. And also you already understand that our order and cart are very similar. The only difference that order has more information since we need to know where is address and phone numbers and stuff like that. So we need to do the same thing here. And after that, we need to write the same target and source, fill all of this. So first we need to check order, and here we see a user. So it means, and here we have user ID. So here we will write user ID, and here user.id, because our user our object has its own ID attribute. That's why .id. And so it means that we are reaching ID of the user using user object, and that's why there is a .id. So, and here the same thing, order items. Here we see order items, just items and order items. Here in order DTO we has order items. Also, we need to do same thing here. But vice versa. And that's it. So, after that, we need to create a list of DTOs that exists in our order and add a method to DTOs. So that our list of orders could be converted to DTOs. It's like another way to make maps using lists. So, and here we are adding all this. So our order list can be converted to order DTO list can be converted to just order list, which means to entity list, and our entity list can be converted to DTO list. So for each of them, there will be a method for each order item. The same thing with order item to order DTO, to entity. So yeah, the same thing. Now we need to add all necessary mappings, and after that we are going to solve all problems that we have here, like all these related problems that we see in above our mapping annotations. So here we have, it means that product ID in order item DTO must be converted to order item entity, and vice versa. Actually, I mentioned that I already written it, but okay, I'm going to delete it later. So yeah, okay. Of course, it must be entities, and that's why we have these problems. And here the same two DTOs. So that's it. Also, it must be a list, of course. So yeah, okay. this one was made for a DTO and that one was made for order. Okay, so now we are going to create mapper for product here, and we need to add all necessary attributes, methods that already exist in our mapper dependency. It's going to make it like automatically. We could make it by ourselves, but it would be like some kind of a boiler code and it is very like long. We will do it very long. So that's why I am showing you this method with mapper. So we could create here our comment DTO so that our product is going to be, it has comments and all of them are going to be converted to each other. So I hope you understanding me right now. So after that, we need to add all necessary annotations here. We have this, the same, source, here also source. So user ID, because our comment DTO has user ID in its attributes. Comment, as we see here. And our comment entity has its own user, and we actually could create just a different for comment mapper here, write it here, user.id, just user ID. Here we need to add mapper and import a necessary class, necessary annotation, after that component model, interface, and that's it. So now we need to understand why we have those problems. But before, of course, we need to map our product inside of the comment entity. And it's going to be ignored. Okay. So here we have all these mappers. After that, okay, we could try to understand our data here and understand why we have this problem. Okay, first we have problem with quantity. Okay, we can check it here. Okay, it is because of the different name. It must be the same as in as in product DTO. So that's why I was telling you why we have these problems. And actually we can try to touch to the problems, and method does not override method. Okay. And here we see all these automatic. Okay, we could try to pull method actually to product mapper, and okay, now we understand why that problem was, because we simply did not pull all necessary methods so that they could be overridden. Okay, so now actually I forgot to add repositories, it's going to work only with entities, and I will explain why we have all these entities here, because of the repositories. So our repositories stands for interaction, for making all operations with database. So that's it. For example, our cart entity has its unique ID long. As we know, our ID has type of long. So we need to, of course, make all necessary methods inside of our interface. Okay, it's going to, I'm sorry, it must be optional, of course. It must be optional, not optimal. And of course, it must be overriding. Not overriding, it must find it by user ID here. So that's why we don't need this override annotation. Okay. So optional means that there can be user or cannot. So there or exist or not exist. That's why optional. So for example, if we will do not find, it must be just false, and that's it. Okay, the same thing here, but with list, and here, because our comment repository must be list, of course, and we can find it using product ID. And okay, so after that, we need to create a different repository. For example, order repository, and so on, and with all those DTOs that we have here in our project. Okay, must be okay. Here we must write comment, list of comments must be returned, of course, not cart. Here we can copy it simply and create product repository. And we actually don't need anything here, any additional methods. We just can save it empty, and here we need to create user repository. Actually, this repository already have some common methods, such as saving, such as getting, updating, deleting, and stuff. Those methods that we are adding now, it is like additional methods, and our JPA repository understands it, so we don't need to write any methods for getting it. It is automatically understanding us. So we have everything here. We have cards, our DTOs, our order DTO, product DTO. We have our validations. We have mappers to entities and vice versa, from entity to DTO. And we have all models, all entities. It is actually the same model or entities, the same thing. So also we added our repositories, and in next video we are going to make controllers, services, and stuff like that. So subscribe to my channel, touch the like buttons, write comments, and that's it. Goodbye. Hello guys, today I will show you how to implement authorization in our eCommerce Spring Boot application. But first I recommend you to add that attribute to our product DTO with image, and also add it to our model in entity with the image attribute. Also, I recommend you to add mapping with the target image and source image in product mapper. since I forget to add it in the previous video. So after that, of course, I recommend you to add 2 dependencies, Javax and the Glassfish. I will give you the link to those dependencies in the description, so you can just copy it. I will give you a link to my GitHub, and you can copy it from there. And after that, do not forget to touch the button with the Maven update. And of course, you need to change this to user ID, since I made a mistake in the previous video. So today, after you added all of these dependencies, attributes, and rewrite mistakes, you must create our packages. Today we are going to add package with controller. After that, we will need our exception package, since we will create some custom exception using runtime exception. And later we will add a config, but now we need to create service package. And now we will start from implementing a user service first, since it is more important for our implementation of authorization. Here you need to add service annotation and required args constructor. Service will help us that Spring Boot application will understand that this class is a service, and required args constructor will help us to automatically generate for those attributes constructors. So you don't need to write a lot of code. You just need to add attributes, and that's enough. So let's start implementing our main function with the registration. For a registration, we are going to give user class our model, and it will return obviously also user model to a user. So, and of course we need to check whether email was taken or not, and that's why we are going to use find by email from our user repository. So here we will tell that email already taken if this email already exists in our database. And if it does not existing, then we obviously can create that user. We will encode our password using password encoder. After that, we will set automatically a role. We will set a role with the user, and after that we can return our saved user. Save function is going to save it in our database. If you remember, we are using repositories for interacting with database. So after that, we need to create function with get user by email. We need it because this function is going to be used a lot in our code. Here we are going to return our user just by our email, and that's it. And if this email does not exist, we just can throw exception with our custom exception, obviously, that this user not found. So we just can create our own exception with the name resource not found exception. And here you can write message to our user that user not found. So since we don't have this class, we can create it in our exception package. This class is going to extend runtime exception, and it's going to just use a constructor of the parent class. I'm just showing you so you can understand how this works. You can obviously use the runtime exception primarily. I'm just showing you this way of implementing it, so that you can create a bunch of classes with different classes that would extend our one parent, and add additional functions if you need. So here we have a problem just because we didn't import it yet, so I recommend you to import it. And here everything is okay. It's only this square. No, okay. It's because of the semicolon. We can add it and delete it here, and now everything works fine. Okay, everything works fine, as we see here. So after that, of course, we can create our change password function. Here we will give email and change password request. This request is going to be created in our DTO package. There we will have current password and new password attributes. So that's why we are going to use this get user by email. After that, we need to check that those new password and current password aren't matching. If they match, we must give a new exception so that user will not be able to create the same password. We just return a bad credentials exception that password cannot, or password is incorrect, for example. So later, after that, if everything is fine, then we obviously can set password and encode it using our password encoder, and set a new password from the request, get new password. And obviously save it in our database, save our user. So since we don't have this change password request yet, we can create it by ourselves and add our needed attributes. So let's create it now. We can add data annotation so that we don't need to create getters and setters. And now we need to add a string attribute with the current password name, and the same but with the new password name. Okay, we can return here and import it. And we have a problem with this get current password function. We are going to solve it now. I guess I made a mistake in name. We can check it. Okay, now it works. You just need to rewrite and add those brackets. So also we have some problem with the password encoder. We are going to solve it later in our config package. yeah, we have a problem with this password encoder. Okay, we are gonna solve it later. So now we can create our GVT service and obviously add service annotation so that our application would understand that this class is a service. And after that, we need to add secret and expiration attributes. We need to get those information from our application properties. That's why we are using value annotation. And you need to use $sign and brackets to get our information from application properties, as you remember here. And also this expiration means that this is going to be saved for 24 hours. It means that our token will be actual and set it in our database for 24 hours since authorization. So obviously we can create our generate token function. Here we need to provide user details to our generate token function. And here for now we are creating claims. For now it's empty, but of course in create token we are gonna fill it, and that's why we are gonna create token function with the claims and user details username. So after that we can create our function with the create token. Here we will provide our claims and our subject. In this case, our subject is a username. So that's why we provided user details get username function. So this gonna return our GVT. So that's why we need to use our function GVT builder. Here we go. And obviously we can set all data here. Now we need to set claims. After that we need to set subject. So here we can add issued at. And of course we need to import this date class. So now we can add system current millis. So it means literally current date. So after that we need to add expiration date. It is a current date and current time and plus expiration time, which means that after 24 hours this expiration is going to be expired. This token is going to be expired. So of course we need to add sign method. This is going to be HS256 and obviously our secret phrase. And of course we need to compact all of this to one builder. So it means that this create token function is going to create this GVT builder with all of these data, such as issue, expiration, signing method with the signature algorithm and secret phrase. So after that, of course, we need to create validation token. Here we will provide our token and user details. And of course, we need to extract username from our token so that we could return whether are they matching or not. For example, if username from the token does not match user details token, then it means that something wrong with the authorization and is not going to provide further middleware, is not going to give him access to making some operation in our database, in our server. So here we need to create more functions such as extract username and later is token expired. For now, we will create extract username function. This is gonna be simple, just it's gonna return a claim from our claims. It's gonna return only subject. So that's why after that we need to create extract claim function with the token and obviously with the data that we are gonna return. So this one is gonna use that function extract claims. There we will give him token and obviously our claims and our method get function. I mean get object. So yeah, we can now create our extract claims method. Here we of course giving this unknown data, which is t. It's gonna be anything. So of course here we add function with our claims and with any data, with any resolver in our claims. That's why it is named T. It can be, for example, subject or claims or expiration or issue and etc. That's why we are not writing exactly data. So it's gonna be a resolver, and here of course we can just extract all claims from our token and just filter it using claims resolver. After that, of course, we will create our extract all claims function. And here we of course need to give him token, and after that we need to filter in our claims resolver. It's going to return our claims. So after that we need to create extract all claims function. Here we just give simple token, and obviously we just parse the whole GVT token using our signing key and just parse all those claims and give to extract claims function all data provided from token. And that's it. And we of course we get body function so that it would be understandable for Java. So after that we need to create finally our two functions with a token expired function. It's gonna just simply check that our token expired or not. I mean user's token. And it's gonna use one more method with the extract expiration. It's gonna be same like extract username, but only with the expiration data. And that's why we created that extract claims function. So here we just give a token and we just return expiration data from our claims of token. And that's it. Here we just give him token and claims get expiration. That's it. So here our GVT service is finally done. Okay, we can just rewrite this extract claim, and same here, extract claim, since we are just getting one claim from all claims of token. So that's it, GVT service is done. Now we can return to our, okay, I made a mistake here. This change password request must be in our DTO package, not in exception. So that's why I need to copy it and delete here and paste it here. And that's not working. Okay, we just can undo it, copy this, delete, and create the same class here in DTO package. So change password request, we just gonna set it here like that. And of course we have a error here. Okay, we can just rewrite our import from exception to DTO here, and that's working. Okay, this password encoder is gonna be solved later in our config, in our security config. So that's why we need to go to our demo and create here new package with the name config, and here we can just start implementing our security config and GVT filter. So we can name it just security config. For now I'm not adding anything to GitHub. I will add it later so that it would be easy to understand what was changed in our code. So here we need to add annotation with the configuration. After that we need to add enable web security annotation. After that we need to add method security and required args constructor. All of this needed for our security in our whole application. So it means that all HTTP requests are going to be filtered in this security config. That's why we need all of these configurations here. Here we need to use user repository and a GVT service. And finally we can just start creating our security filter chain using this security filter chain class. And of course we need to add bin so that our application will understand that this is necessary and must be here, must done. And here we need to provide HTTP security with just HTTP and throws exception if we will have some error while trying to access some endpoint in our API. So here we need to create our HTTP settings. CSRF means a course policy. We can disable it for now. I obviously recommend you to leave it like that, and after that we need to use authorize HTTP requests function. And here we just need to add all necessary, not here, inside of this authorize HTTP requests here, and just start writing our settings in our application. For example, root is going to be permitted for everyone, since it is a root and everyone would be able to access it. So after that, images obviously also accessed for everyone, since user must see all images and after that we need to give him, just for now we will create index.html file where we also will permit it. After that we need to permit authorization, which is also going to be created later with authorization controller. So it means that any authorization is permitted for everyone without authorization. It means that without token. And we can allow our getting, not any other method, just getting all our products from database, which is also going to be created later. This endpoint will be created in our product controller later. Now I'm just writing it so that you will not rewrite it later, and it will be easier for you to understand the whole structure since the beginning. So here we need to add change password, obviously authenticated, since only user can change his own password. User that was not authorized cannot change his password since he is not authenticated, obviously. And any other request, of course, must be authenticated, which means that token must be provided in header of the request. So here we will create session management. Here we just create stateless policy for our session, since JavaScript web token is stateless. That's why we need to add stateless policy here and stateless. Okay, here we have this error, and after that we need just delete this space, and after that add filter before function. Here we just will filter everything, like using our JWT authentication filter. We will create it later, obviously, and username password authentication filter. Here, as we see here, this one. So it means that everything is all right, and we can just return our HTTP build here. So everything is okay. Okay, we can add other functions. Of course, we need to create a JWT authentication filter function, and inside of this function we will create a new JWT authentication filter class, which is going to be created later, a little bit after this security config. So we can just return So we will create it later. We can just return this class, JWT authentication filter. We just can copy it, and we will provide our service of JWT and user details. User details service. Okay, here we finally can fix our password encoder in our previous service. Here we just need to add bin with password encoder and just return bcrypt password encoder class. This one. It's gonna be, we can just import this one also, and everything is all right. So here we also need authentication manager function. which is going to control like authentication. Sorry for tautology. And here we will provide our authentication configuration. It's in fact just common. It's common type of writing those codes. You can find it in internet everywhere. I'm just writing it by myself now. And obviously here we need return just auth config and get authentication manager. Here we have some mistake. Okay, why we have this? Okay, we just can fix it a little bit later, or we can fix it now. Okay. I'm thinking. Okay, we will solve it later. For now, we just will write the whole code in our security config and start fixing it a little bit later. So here we need to create user details service. And here we just return our user details. We are returning username, and we are returning, of course, our username from user details using user repository. If we will not found that user, of course, we will just throw exception with the user not found exception. You need to just import this one, tap the enter, and just write here a message that user was not found. And that's it. Do not forget to add semicolon at the end, since Java is a C-type programming language, as you remember. And finally, we just can create our authentication provider function. We also need to bin it before writing it. It's gonna use DAO authentication provider. So we can just re-import it. No, we need exactly provider, precisely provider, yes. And here we just name it like authentication provider, and we will use the authentication provider. We will create a new class, a new object out of this class, and here we just set user details to our provider. Here we just use our user details service that we wrote it before, and we just add a password encoder here. So it's gonna make all of this automatically just using this authentication provider, and of course just return that provider, auth provider. That's it. Here we can just start implementing our GVT authentication filter. And after that we will fix all errors and launch it using Postman. Here we made a mistake, we can just, okay, we have some problem here and here. Okay. Okay, here we have a problem because of the exception here, and it is solved also. And this one just going to be solved here in our GVT authentication filter. It's gonna extend once per request filter, which means literally once per request. And here we need to add required args constructor. You remember that is gonna automatically create constructor for our attributes, for our variables here, and obviously we can start implementing our filter internal function, so that our JVT authentication will be able to filter everything. It's gonna filter it's gonna get data from the header of the request. It's gonna get substring 7, which means after the bearer and space it's gonna take a token, and it's gonna of course make some kind of operations to filter it, like to filter that token. So that's why we need to add HTTP servlet request and response, and filter chains. So yeah, of course this is gonna throw servlet exception if we will have some error, and IO exception here, input output exception. Okay, so here we need to understand that our authorization header has authorization in its header. That's why we need to create this one, and just get header from request with the name authorization. Here we go. So after that we need to create two attributes, two variables with the username and JVT. For now it's gonna be null, since we don't have it yet. It didn't parse our token yet. And here we just can check whether our authorization header has a bearer inside or not. If it's not null and it starts with a bearer text, then we can place to our JVT substring 7, which means our token, and we can add to our username from JVT, like JVT service extract username from this token. And after that, here finally we can add our main check here. We're gonna check that username is not null and authentication is null from our context holder. That's why we need to use security context holder function of get context, and after that authentication. It must be null. So here we add user details with the information of username. We need to load it by this username here. And if JVT service is validating it and everything is all right, here we can use the JVT service validate token function that we created in our service. And if everything is okay, here we just add to our username password authentication token. Here we can just create a new class, a new object out of this class with user details, with providing user details. here we go. So and also we need to give null credentials here, and after that give authorities here, since we need to check authorities like role. And after that we need to set the details with the authentication detail source. And do not think of it much, it's just standard function that is gonna check our token. I mean set the details to our token with request. And after that we just can get context and set authentication of our auth token to our security context holder. And finally we just can create a filter here finally with the request and response. So we are just adding all of this to our context holder in our server, and everything is all right now. So finally everything is fine. We have just some errors here because of the semicolon, and that's it. And also we have some error here in user details. Because of the 1, 2, 3. Okay, we need one more. Yes, and everything solved. So finally we can use all of these functions from user to create our controller. In our controller package, since everything seems like all right, but first of course we need to create login request in our DTO with the email and password. As you remember, that's why we don't have mapping to user DTO to user model, because we using change password request or login request for interacting with the server. Okay, we have some error here. We need to write to correct request here, and that's fine. So finally we can create our controller. Here we of course create our endpoints to be able to interact with our server, so that user would be able to interact with the server using those endpoints in our API. Here we adding annotation with REST controller that our application will understand that this is a controller class. Also we have a request mapping, so everything that starts with API auth is gonna be considered a controller of authentication. And obviously we need to add required args constructor and our authentication manager and a user service. Also we need a JVT service as our attributes. It's gonna be added automatically in constructor. So here we just can create our first post method with the login. As we remember, we created request body with a login request. Here we just add a post mapping with the login. Here we just provide our login request as a request body So it means that our request will have body, and inside of this body we will have information just as in our login request. So we are gonna use authentication manager and just authenticate our login request using this class, this object, username password authentication token. As you remember, we did it in our authentication filter. So here we just make a login request, get our email and password from login request. So after that, we need to create our GVT, get our GVT. I mean our user details, and get a user by email. And after that, we need to get our GVT, generate token for our user details, and just return the response entity awk. So it's gonna check is our password and email is okay. If everything is alright, it's gonna just set user and get create a token for it, and return a GVT as a response, so that we will be able to copy it from our postman after the making authorization in our postman. So here we can also add the registration, post endpoint. Of course, here we need to add a user model, and we can just name it as a register. And of course, we need to validate a request body. With the user. Sorry, user. Fuck. Just user. Okay, return response entity with OK method, or with OK state, I mean, and just provide user service registration, and give him user from our okay, just give user to this register method. Seems like we don't have register. Okay, we have it, but why it's not working? Okay, it is because it's a private. I forgot to add a public, I guess, as a when I created this function, this method. So you need to rewrite from private to public in service for this register function. And finally, of course, also post mapping with the change password. Here we just check, create this change password. It's not gonna return anything, just text that password was changed. Here we need to give our DTO change password request, and of course we just need to check our authentication user context holder and just get context and get authentication. And so if our email and authentication is matching, if everything is alright, it's gonna change the password. So here we need to add string email, get authentication name. After that we need to add this change password from service and provide email and request. And after that just return entity with OK body that password was changed. And we just can see that everything is alright. We created our controller, we don't have any problems, and we finally can launch our server here. Also, I recommend you to download Postman application for interacting with our server. And here we see that we do not have, okay, we have some problem. User repository defined, bean name. Here we have some problem. We need to solve it. Okay, here in our eCommerce application, you need to add those entity scan and enable JPA repositories with a URL to your application, to your model, here and here, as you see. So finally, and of course we need to check that our Docker container with the Postgres database is launched, and as we see, everything is all right. So we see that everything is all right. Everything was started, and here we can, of course, go to our Postman. I will show you how to create some here you need to add localhost 8080, and here you need to touch raw JSON, write API auth register, add the email, for example user, it must be email. If it will not have a email in it, it's gonna return error. So here we see that everything is all right, it returned okay. Here we see that password was hashed, and of course we can create new same but with login, so that we can check that this user is able to be authorized using this endpoint that we created here in our API auth. And after that we need to write register or login, since we created 3 methods. Here we have register or change password. Here we add a login. Here is the same, and here we see that everything is working. We have this token. It returned the token. It means that everything is all right. So our authorization is working now. So in the next video I will show you. Here also we see that if we will not write email, it's going to return error. So in next video we are going to create product CRUD, and after that we will create comment, cart, order, sending emails to our email, and that's it. Hello guys, today I will show you the way how we will implement CRUD operations in our server. We will implement product CRUD, where you will be able to post, get, and update and delete a product using product service and product controller endpoints. But first you need to change these application properties to update, so that you don't need to always create a new database. And here we will create our first service. We can name it just a product service. And here we will start implementing our product service. Here we will add the annotation of service and annotation of a required args constructor. So after that, here we need product repository to be able to interact with the database. And of course, we need our product mapper so that we can map our DTO to model and vice versa. And here, after that, we will implement uploading our image to server. And that's why we will create one more attribute like upload dir. Here we will store our directory path. So it must be crc main resources static and images. It is a path to our static directory, as we see here. So after that we will add semicolon, and we can start implementing our first function for creating product. So only admin will be able to create this product. That's why we will make it pre-authorized in controller. But now we are just making a service, so we don't need to clarify it here. Here we will just provide a product DTO, and also we will provide image. We must name it multi-part file, since it is a file. So after that, we will create exception if we will have any problem. And after that, we need to create a product model from our product DTO. So that's why we will use product mapper to convert our product DTO to model here. And we need to check that image is not null, which means that file is not empty. So that's why we need to use this isEmpty function to check it. And here, if image is not null or not empty, we can save it with the function saveImage. And this function is not existing now, but we will implement it a little bit later. So that's why we just can write down our saveImage function. So we can start like that, and after that we need to save our path to that image. So that's why we just can use a file name that we created. So after that, we need to just save it. That's why we must return DTO. And that's why we just save it as a model and return as a DTO. So here we see that we are using product repository for saving it. We saving it as a product. And after that, we will return using product mapper to DTO. We will convert it to DTO from model. And it means that we are returning DTO, data transfer object file class to user. So after that, we need to create update of the product. So we can just write public product DTO and a name of the function. Here we can just write all necessary attributes, such as ID of the product itself, and of course image. And also we will throw IO exception, input-output exception, if we will have any problem with it, with the updating the product. So after that, we can create get existing project from the database. We can use find by ID function in repository. And here we need to clarify that if there is no such product, we must return a throw, which means that we are returning an exception. That's why we just can write down here, create new resource not found exception with the message that product was not found. So after that, we just need to set new name from the product DTO. That's why we are using product DTO getName function. From the DTO, after that, we need to get description. I made a mistake here. So set the description from the product DTO that we are providing right now. After that, price, and after that, quantity. That's all attributes that we are updating. Also, we are updating image, maybe. That's why we must check that image is not null or not empty. That's why we can write here, check image is not null and is not empty, as we did it before in creating product function or method. There is no difference. So string file name must be a save image function, which is going to be created later, of course. And here we just can set this image with the name of images, I mean 2 images, and file name. So it's gonna save it in images directory. And after that, we just can use this updated product and return a DTO. So after that, we would like to create a deletion of the product from database. That's why it's not going to return anything. It's going to be void function, which means that this function will not return anything. And here we just need to provide just ID of the product. And here we just need to check that this product is not existing. So that's why we just use product repository and exist by ID. And here we just write our ID. And if this product was not existing, we can just throw new exception, just like that. And write down here that product does not exist, or just product not found. That's it. So after that, we can, if product exists, we can just delete it using just ID. And that's it. So here we also need to get product, create the method with the get product name, and here we just provide ID of the product, and it's simply gonna return our product by ID. That's why we just create this product class, product object, use the product repository, and get find by ID. Or else throw. We forgot to add throw. If product was not found in the database, it's just going to return exception. As we remember, resource not found exception is our custom exception that is extending runtime exception if you forgot to add it in our exception package. And after that, we just can return our product as a DTO. That's why we need to convert it to DTO, and that's it. So after that, we can finally create 2 remaining functions, such as get all products, it's gonna obviously return list of product here. We're gonna use this find all method from the repository. And here finally we can create our save image function. This one, find all, is gonna be replaced later. I will show you why. Since there are mistakes in our product DTO, I will show you why we will replace it. But now we just can implement. Here I will write this in the comment that we must to fix it. Here we just write our function of saving image, which is gonna provide our multi-part file with the name image and throw IO exception, which means that input output. And here we just return our string with the name of the file. This file is gonna be unique, and that's why we are using this randomizer. and it's gonna return to string plus, and we can just get original file name here. We are doing it because we need to be sure that this image is gonna be unique. That's why this is a random UID. And after that, we need to place this image to path. So that's why we are using path class. And here we are using our upload dir that we created at the beginning and plus file name. So after that, we using files and create directories. Here we are just getting a get parent from the path. And here we are writing our file to that directory. To this path, we are getting bytes from image because it is literally bytes. Like any file is a bunch of different bytes in memory. And after that, we are returning file name. Unique file name of the file that was saved. So we can start fixing this one. We can just create our own function in the repository that is not existing. We are going to create our new list, product list DTO, because we don't need to show comments when we're getting all products. And that's why we are creating new DTO. It's going to be completely the same like a product DTO, but without comments. Because when we getting all products at the same time, it's going to take a lot of time and memory and force of the machine to getting it. And it's not going to be fast. That's why we are optimizing it so that all products are going to be getted without comments. So that's why we are creating this new product list DTO. This one is going to be getted when we get all products, and product DTO is going to be getted if we're getting just one product. Later I will show you why we are doing it, when we will use a postman to get those products from the database. And of course, we just need to add all those annotations, such as product cannot be blank, etc. It must be positive or zero, since it is quantity. Quantity can be zero. And here we just write down our messages if user will try to create more or create a negative quantity, and etc. So here is the same, but price must be only positive. Description is required. Here is the same, description is required. I mean, name is required. And that's it. So here we still have some problem because of this repository. Here we will need to create our own custom interaction with database. That's why I'm gonna use this product list DTO and name it as a find all without comments, as we did it in our product service. And here we need to write query annotation, and here we need to write our own custom SQL command so that it's going to return all products but without DTO, comments. It's not going to include comments when we get all products at the same time. So that's why we just need ID, name, description of this product, price, quantity, and that's and image, and that's enough. And we can write our image from product. That's it. You can just copy it and write like I did. And here we have a problem, because here we need to return product list, not product DTO. And that's it. We write our product service. We rewrite our product repository with getting list of products. And we created new DTO for getting all products at the same time. Here we can just copy these mappings from comment to product mapper. here is the same. We just need to copy those mappings since we need to understand who is the author of the comment. That's why we are adding those mappings. So that's it. Finally, we can start creation of our controller, and there in the controller we will literally control these operations, which means that user must be authorized, has role of the admin to be able to perform those operations, and so on. That's why we need to create new controller class in our controller package. Here we of course need to clarify that this is a REST controller, add a request mapping. Here we need to add specific endpoint for all those operations with product. And of course we need to write this required args constructor. As you remember, all our variables are going to be self-constructed automatically in this class when this object is going to be created. So you understand what I mean. Here, of course, we need to write our product service and create our first function, our first operation in the database. So it must be authorized and has a role admin, obviously. And of course, since our product is not just a JSON file, it includes also image. It means that we must consume a media type of the multipart form data value, not a JSON, but multipart form data. Here we are having a problem with getting media type, I guess. Okay, now we need to get it from HTTP Spring Framework HTTP class library, I guess. Okay, it's not working. We can try to write this one, HTTP, and that is working. Okay, so after that we need to start implementing this method in the class. So it's gonna return response entity. Inside of this response entity we will have product DTO and create product. We can name it as a create product. Here we will provide a request part of the product. Later I will show you how to make creation of the product in Postman, so don't worry about it. Here we need to write product since it is a part of the product. It's going to be valid, and of course we can just write product DTO here. And after that we need to do the same but with image. So we writing here request part value image, and of course it must be required. I mean, it shouldn't be required. So yeah, after that we can just write multipart file and name it as image. And of course it's gonna throw exception if we will have any problems with creating this product. So we can just return our response entity with OK status, and inside we can just write product service, create product function. So it's gonna just implement this function inside of the service. And of course we need to provide product DTO and image. That's it, literally. Yes, it is pretty easy. Okay, here we need to implement updating. In the REST API, update is a put. That's why we are writing put mapping. And of course in the API, REST API, create is a post. That's why we write a post mapping before that for the create product function. Here we need to write value after the API products. There is going to be specified ID. And of course it's also consuming multipart form data. And of course it also must be authorized as admin to be able to implement this function in our server. It's going to return response entity. It's actually the same like we did before, but it's going to have also ID. That's why we write path variable, request part, product. Here we must be sure that this is valid. Here. And of course request part of the image. Here we can write value image and required false. And after that we can just write here, write multiport file. And just write image. That's it. So inside we can just return the same as we did before, like it's gonna return response entity with OK status, and just implement update product function with the providing ID, product DTO, and image. Also, we forgot to out those things here. Do not forget add it also. It must be ordinary. And here we can create our delete mapping, which means that this function is going to be for deleting our product, desired product from the database. Also, only our admin is able to make that operation in our server. Here we need to use this response entity with a void because it's not going to return anything, and we can name it just delete product. Here we just need to provide simply just ID, and that's it, since we are not creating or updating anything. Here we just can use product service for deleting product. Here we will provide ID, and we can just return response entity with no content. And just build it. It means that it's not going to return anything, like it's going to be empty. So finally, we can create get mapping. Here we're going to return our products. Now we need specified as a list DTO, since we are returning this one. As you remember, we need to get only list because we do not include comments. It's going to be messed up if we will return comments also with the products. That's why we excluded comments from product when we get all data, all products at the same time. But when we return one product, specified product, then of course we need to include also comments. That's why we just write here product and just get one product, or just get product one. Here we need to do the same, but get product, and right here add the path variable with the name ID. And of course we need to specify that we will have ID in our path after API products endpoint, and here we need to change to product DTO. That's it. So our service is ready, our controller is ready, and we can check it now. Finally, I was working by myself here. I was experimenting before to be able to show you a working version of it. That's why you shouldn't worry that I have something prepared here. I'm gonna launch it again, so we don't have any errors. So our server is started. Finally, we can go to our Postman. Here I created pre-created our needed. We can just log in here using our previous user that we registered in previous video. Here we need to create a new version of the adding with the post. Here we need to add localhost API products, and also we need to specify our bearer token that we get from the authorization from the login. That's why you need to write here, choose bearer, right here, write our token that we got from login. Also, you need to go to body. Here you need to choose form data. You need to write right here this product. But for you, I will show you how it will look like for you. Here you will write product. As you remember, request part and request part image. Image is going to be file. Here you need to write here and tap the content type. You need to specify that this one is application JSON. You need to write all this to here, the value. Since it is a JSON, I prepared here. You need to write name, description, price, and quantity. It looks like this. So you need to copy it to here, to form data. Right here, you see that we have name, we have description, we have content type of application JSON. Also, your user must be admin. You need to write down PSQL-U my user, because this is our username of our Postgres database. As you remember, here my user. Here we need to specify our database, my database. Also, after you registered one user, you need to get that user. Here we see that we already have one. Here it is not good for example, so that's why I'm gonna register new user for you, so that you will understand how to change admin role for it. That's why you are gonna get this new token here from this new user. Here you need to change it like that. And if you will try to send it, it's not gonna work out because this user is not admin, as we see. Here we have a role user. I will show you how to change it here using update command. You need to write update name of the table users. After that, set role admin, where ID is, in our case, is 2. That's why we need to write 2. And as we see here, we have role admin. And after we changed in our database role of the admin, we see here that we can choose any image. For example, it's going to be this one. It doesn't matter, actually. Do not forget that this content type must be application JSON. And here we see that everything is working. Also, do not forget to add bearer token to authorization, as I showed you before. And here we have these static images. And here we see that this image was actually saved in our database. So it means that everything is working. We can check it in our database with using select command, select all from product. And we see here that our image was saved correctly. It saved its own path name. We have a name of it, we have quantity, we have price, we have everything. So everything is okay. So we can get all products. I will show you how to create this. You can create new entity. After that, you can just write localhost 8080. As you remember, AP product. In this case, it's just all products. As you remember, getting all products at the same time is okay. And as we see here, we don't have comments, but when we get one product, specific product, we see that we can see products. So everything is working, everything is fine, and we can try to update our product. That's why we are going to create. This is from scratch. It must be application JSON. In value, we can just copy from here. We can change everything, like product 100 something. Here we will not add anything. We are updating second product, and as we see here, everything is fine. It was updated and everything is okay, as we see here. Okay, here we just can delete the first product that I created by myself. We can just check it, and it's not working because I didn't add it bearer token here in authorization part. Here we of course need to add our token from the admin, as we remember, admin token. So because only admin is able to delete products or do any operations with products. And we see here that there is no content. It means that this product was deleted. And we see here that there is only one product that we created now. And everything works correctly. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Do not forget to write comments, touch the button of the subscribe, likes, and etc. In the next video, we will create the same thing but with comments. Users will be able to write comments under our products. And that's it. See you later. Hello guys, today I will show you implementation of controller for making comments, and also we will create service for comments. And we should start from implementing service as we did before with product. Now we are going to create obviously a comment service, and we need to make annotation that this is a service class. After that, we can add required args constructor annotation. So here we will use comment repository for interacting with database. So after that, we will use product repository, since we are gonna make sure that this comment is gonna be added under a certain product. And of course, we need to use user repository because we need to know who is the author. And after that, we will use comment mapper for making conversion between DTO and model. So we can start implementing our function. We can name it just add comment. Here we will use a product ID. And after that, we need to know user. So that's why we are going to use user ID. So after that, we can use comment DTO for making sure that we can add the comment body. So here we will start from conversion, from finding this product. We need to be sure that this product exists, and that's why we're gonna add this or else row if we will have a problem with finding that product in database. So here we will create new exception with a message that product was not found. Do not forget to add semicolons. We can actually copy and paste it here, but do it with the user. The same thing with user. We need to be sure that the user exists. Like here we will make sure that, and that's it, because user repository have same function as product repository with find by ID. And here we need to convert this comment DTO that user sent it to a model so that we could save it in our database, since our repository works with models. Here we will set product for that comment. After that, we will set obviously our user. So it means that our comment has a product and a user, which means that it has an author and a section which product it belongs to. So here we need to make sure that this comment will be saved in our database, and we can return a conversion of this saved comment to DTO. And that's pretty much it. Our add comment function will work correctly. So here we can write a function for getting all comments. We will get comments by product. And here we will obviously use a list of comment DTO. We can name it get comments by product. Here we will use a product ID because we need to get all comments by product. So here we will create the same list but with a model, not a DTO but with model, and we will use a find by product function from repository. And here we just will return a bunch of comments in the list. That's why we're going to use a stream and map function to be sure that all entities inside comments will be shown. Every entity is going to be converted to DTO, and here we can use a collect function so that it's going to be converted to list. So after that we can create our comment controller, and here we need to make annotation that this is a controller. After that we need to add annotation with the request mapping, which means that it's going to have endpoint as we did with products. And here we need to add required args constructor so that we don't need to write constructor and it's going to be created automatically. Here we will use a comment service, obviously. And here we can start implementing our endpoints. First is going to be a add comment function with the method post. Here we will return response entity. Inside of it we're going to have comment DTO. It's going to be named as add comment. Here inside we will provide, but first we need to add annotation that this is a post mapping, and obviously we need to write here the certain product to which product is going to be added. And here we need to make sure that user authorized. That's why we're going to use pre-authorized and is authenticated function. Here we will provide product from the path. As we see here, we need to use that product ID that we write it in post mapping. After that, we need to use authentication principal to be sure that our user is author of that comment. And here we will use a request body of comment DTO. So here we can write our user ID, get it from user details. Here we can write our model of user, use the user details from the attributes of the function, and just use a method get ID. That's it. So after that we need to return a response entity with the status OK. So here we will use a add comment function of comment service and provide all necessary information for that method inside the service, which is product, user, and comment DTO. So after that, we need to create a method get to get all comments under certain product. So here we will use same structure as we did with post, but with a get mapping annotation. And here we also return a response entity, but inside we have not just comment DTO, but list of comment DTOs. And we can name it just as we did before, get comments by product. And here we will provide product ID from the path that we write it in get mapping annotation. And here we can just simply return list of comments by using service function, get comments by product. And here we will use obviously product ID, and that's it. So we can try to launch our application and see that it's gonna work correctly, or it's gonna have problem. Okay, right now we still don't have any problems. Okay, it started correctly. We can check. I already created those methods like post and get for comments. You just can create it by yourself. Here in authorization, we need to choose bearer token and write here our token that we get from login. Here we need to choose body, choose a JSON body. And here we can write our comment DTO values. For now, we don't have any comments under this product. As we see here, we don't have any comments, but after we will add some comment, is going to be here. We see that we don't have any problems. We created comments with the score We can in front end convert this score to, for example, stars, for example 1 star or 5 stars. And here we see that those comments were created successfully. We don't have any problems. We can get product comments by product. Okay, we have a problem here because of the authorization. I'm using incorrect web token. Okay, now we see that it works. Yes, everything works fine. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and see you later in other videos. Hello guys, today we are going to implement our cart service and cart controller to be able to add products to our cart and make orders out of them. The orders is going to be created in the next video. Today we will implement a cart system. First we need to create a cart service and add the annotation that this class is going to be a service. And after that we need to make annotation of required args constructor, and after that we need to use a cart repository and a product repository. After that we need to be able to know who is the user, whose cart is it. That's why we're gonna use user repository. And of course, after the user repository, we need to use a cart mapper to be able to convert the DTO to entity and vice versa. Our first function is gonna be simple. We're gonna create add to cart function. It's gonna return a cart DTO to a user. Here we need to use a user ID, and we need to use a product ID and quantity. I'm sorry, here is integer, not integer. So here we need to know who is the author of the cart. That's why we're gonna use the user model. Here we can import it, and after that we need to use a user repository and find by ID using user ID that we provided in attribute. And if it's not gonna find anything, it's just gonna throw exception that the resource was not found. And here we can just write the message that user was not found. And the same thing actually with the product. So we can just copy and rewrite here for product model. Here we need to import product, rewrite it to a product, user product repository instead of the user repository. And here we need to provide the product ID. And here we can just return that product was not found. That's it. So after that we can check that our quantity is not bigger than existing quantity inside of the that we have in stock inside of the product database. And if our quantity, desired quantity, is more than existing quantity, so it means that there is insufficient stock exception. This exception is going to be created now. We can write here that not enough available, and we can just usually copy this class actually and rewrite here insufficient stock exception. It's going to be the same as a resource not found exception, literally the same, but with a different name. And here we can import this exception here. And yeah, so after that we need to find the cart, create cart model. So that's why we're gonna create cart model, and using cart repository find user by ID, find by user ID. And if it's not gonna find anything, it's just gonna create new cart for that user. It means that if user does not have any cart, it's gonna be created automatically here using this new cart construction. So after that we can write here optional, which means it's gonna be existing or not, it's gonna be presented or not. And here we will just get all items from the cart, and we will filter it using for each item we're gonna filter whether it is equal to product ID or not, and that's it. So that's why we're gonna get product of this item, get ID of this item, and compare it to product ID that was provided to this function in attribute. And we can just use a find first method. So it's gonna check that this product exists already in our cart. Like that's why we are using existing cart item. And if we have an existing cart item, which means is present, we can just get this existing cart item and set a new quantity for it instead of adding new product. So literally we are saying that if this cart item, which means a product existing in our cart, then instead of creating new cart item, we will just set a new quantity. So that's better than creating new cart item. So after that, and if there is no existing cart item, it's just going to simply create this new cart item. That's why we need to use this cart item model and create a new cart item using this construction of the cart item class. Here we just need to provide this, and since a user has only one cart, it is not necessary like to provide ID for this. We can just set a null for it since it's a first, and after that we can just get all items and add this cart item to this list of items. And after that we just can save it using a cart repository. So that's why we need to create this saved cart, and using cart repository we can save it as a model for interacting with database. And after that we can just return our saved cart, but convert it to DTO using cart mapper. So yeah, it works fine. Yeah, looks fine. We can go next for start to start next function. Next function is gonna return cart of the user, and that's why we need to provide here a user ID. And we just gonna use simple repository function. We just need to call cart, and here we need to save cart repository find by user ID. So we literally getting cart by user ID, and if it's not existing, we just can return exception that a resource was not found with the resource not found exception with cart not found. And that's it. And if everything is okay, we just can return this as a DTO. So we can just return cart mapper, convert it to DTO, this cart, and return this cart. That's it. So the next function is going to be simple. It's going to be clear cart. Here we need to provide user ID. So we're going to provide user ID. And we have an error because we don't have a... okay, I forgot to add this void type, that this function is having a type of void that is not going to return anything. So here we can just find cart using user ID, and that's why we're going to use the cart repository as before, and find by user ID here. And if it's not going to find anything, it's just going to throw exception, resource not found exception, with the message that cart was not found. So after that we can, if everything is all right, we can get all items and clear it here, and save this cart. That's it. So next we're gonna create our controller to be able to interact with cart using API endpoints. That's why we're gonna create this cart controller. Here, as always, we need to claim that this is a REST controller. That's why we need to add this annotation here. And now we can add this annotation of request mapping. Here we can add this endpoint, that API endcard. And after that, we need to add this annotation with the required constructor. I'm not going to explain why, you know it already, since I was talking about it many times. And now here we can use the card service to use all those functions that we created in service. And here we can create this response entity function, and we can provide here inside card DTO, and it's gonna be named as add to cart, as in our service. Here we need to claim that this is a post mapping method, that this endpoint is post, and here we need to write add, so that we will be able to add it. And here we need to add pre-authorize, which means that only authenticated user, authorized user, is able to do this function. If he will not be authorized, which means he's not going to using bearer token, it means then that he will not be able to do this function. Here we need to provide authentication principal to get current user token to know who is currently using this function. That's why we need to use this authentication principal. Next is going to be request param long product ID, and the same but with quantity. So which means that we will provide those information in parameters. And here we need to get our user, so that's why we're going to use this long user ID and model user here. And after that we need to write this user details and just simply get the ID. So in our user ID we will have user ID from the token. So after that we can return this response entity with implementing that function from card service, and just provide simply all those information, such as user ID, product ID, and quantity. Okay, so our next function is gonna be get card. Let's start implementing it. Here we do the usually same response entity. As always, we need to provide our desired object, which is a card DTO, and we can name it simply getCard. And after that, we need to claim that this is a get mapping. This method of endpoint is get, and we can use this getCard only if we are authorized. So that's why we can just copy this one and paste it here. So we can just copy this same function here, because it's actually the same. And of course we need to provide this authentication principle of user details here. And the only thing is gonna change this get card. And after that we need to delete all this. Okay, here we have okay, because of this get class we need to get card. Okay, now it's working. So the next one is going to be deleting, which means clear. That's why we're going to create this public response entity. We can just copy it, and instead of get card we need to use delete or clear card. And instead of the this we need to rewrite it and add a clear card method. And of course we need to provide here void function, since since clear card is not getting anything, and of course write the delete mapping method. And here we just need to return anything, which means no content unbuilt. So finally our card is ready. We can launch our server. I hope that everything will launch very fast. Here we need to use the postman, of course. And as we see here, our server started launching, and we don't have any errors yet. And as we see here, everything is all right. We still don't have any problems. Okay, it is started. Now we can start testing it in our Postman here, and we just actually can just copy this. Everything is lagging since I'm launching a lot of stuff at the same time. Now here we need to we just can copy this comment added to this new and just rewrite the method. And the same thing actually can be done with this comment get comments. And we just need to rewrite the name and endpoints. Here we're gonna write cart, get cart. And the same thing, we can just move this one to here and rewrite it to cart, add cart. And actually we just need to rewrite this cart and delete this product endpoint and write add the endpoint here. And the same here, but we need to delete this product and from endpoint and rewrite it to cart. Okay, so actually we can copy it this also and change here to delete cart or just clear cart, and change the method here and rewrite it to cart. Okay, and we can finally save all of this together. And here we need to get our token, so that's why we're gonna log in again. So we can just simply copy this web token from here and start using our start testing our functions that we implemented. Here in authorization, as usual, we need to rewrite this token. In params, as we remember, we need to provide product ID and quantity. For example, we have only one product existing, I guess. And for example, we're gonna get the second one. And for example, we need to get, I don't know, 1,000. Since I know that there is no so much quantity. Okay, let's try to change it to like 1. And everything is working because this quantity is existing in our database, and we can just try to get, we have a forbidden, okay, because we forgot to, I guess we forgot to add the new web token. We just need to change it. We are using this old token that was expired already, so that's why we need to use this one. And we see that everything is working. We have our ID and we have our item and quantity of that item in our cart. So we can try it again. It works. We are able to even reduce, for example, write -1, and here instead of 4 we're gonna see 3. Yes, so it works. And we can try get cart again to be sure that this was saved in our database. As we see, everything works, and we can just try to clear our cart. We have a forbidden because we didn't change our token. We can rewrite it and try it again, and everything works. So now we see that we don't have anything. So I hope you liked the video, and see you in the next video where we will implement the same thing but with order, and we will implement email sending also. See you later. Hello guys, today we will implement our order system. Here first we need to add a Java mail sender from Spring Initializer and copy this dependency to our pom.xml file here. And after that we need to load our Maven here using this button, and we can start implementing our order service. We can name it just order service. First, we need to add annotation that this class is a service. After that, we need to add the required args constructor. And of course, we need to add a logger so that all our orders will be logged in our system. For that, we need to use this specific slf4g dependency, import. And after that, we need to use this logger factory class to be able to get logger using this function. And inside, we need to provide order service class, which means that all of this class and all behaviors, all actions are going to be logged. After that, we need to use this order repository to be able to interact with database. And of course, we need to use a cart service since we need to get items from cart. Also, we need to use a product repository and product repository here. And also, I forgot to write here finals. So after that, we need to use a user repository since we need to know who is making order and also privileges for certain actions. Also, we need to use this email service. We can create it right now here in our service package. It's going to be pretty simple. It's just going to send emails using our MailTrap user. I will show you later where you can get those information from MailTrap. So we need to make annotation that this is a service and require args constructor. Here we need to use our Java mail sender from Java mail that we added. And here we need to use our from email string. Here we will have a email of the sender. And of course we need to get our value from application properties. As we remember, we have those configuration for from MailTrap. And here we need to use a host. We need to use username instead. So that's why we need to copy this one and write it here. And after that, we can write our function. We can simply name it send order confirmation. And also this function is void, which means it's not going to return anything. And here we need to provide our model of order. So we can use a simple mail message for creating a message. And we just need to instance new object of this simple mail message. So here we can set from, which is a from email. After that, we can set to. This is going to be set as this, which means that this message is going to be sent to author of the order, to the person who created the order, which means to his username, to his email. So after that, we need to set subject. And here we can write order confirmation. It's kind of a title for our message. And here we can write the text inside. This is going to be your order has been confirmed. And we can provide, for example, order ID. We could provide also necessary informations such as products, quantity, and etc. But I'm not going to do that since this is just an example. So mail sender, and we can use this send function and provide a message. So our email service is ready. We can return to our order service. Also, we need to use our order mapper to be able to convert the DTO and entity to each other. And also we need to use our cart mapper to be able to do the same thing. So actually we can start creating our first function, which is going to be create order. Here we need to provide user ID, address, and phone number. Address is going to be string, just as in our order model, and the same thing with the phone number. Also, we need to clarify that this function is transactional. So we can start implementing We can copy this one from here, since we need to just get user by user ID. We can just copy it here. So also we need to get cart by user ID. So we can create this new cart DTO and get a cart using this cart service and provide the user ID also. So after that, we need to convert this DTO to model. So that's why we need to use this cart mapper and convert it to entity, to a model. And here we need to check that our cart is not empty. So if our cart is empty, we can use it, get items function and use is empty. We are checking that our list is empty or not. If this is empty, we can just provide a throw new exception, which is going to be legal state exception. And here we can write a message that we cannot create an order with an empty cart. And do not forget to add semicolon. So after that, we can set new order, create new order using this new order instance. And we can start setting user, address, and all information that we provided to this function, which is create order function. So here we need to use set address, provide address, the same thing with phone number, order.set number, and provide phone number. Also, we need to use a status. So automatically this status is going to be set it as preparing from our enum inside of the order model. So here we need to create set created at. We don't have it. I don't know why. We need to add it right now. And just provide a local date time now. So we need to check our order model. Okay, we don't have our necessary attribute. We can check our order DTO and copy it like we did here from DTO class to order class. Okay, now everything is going to be all right. We can check it, and yes. So and we need to create all of our order items inside of the order must be created using our cart and order. That's why we need to name it as order items. We can use this function, and we can provide our cart and order. Okay, and okay, this function is going to be created later, so we can name it differently. For example, create order items. This function is going to be created later. Now we can keep it like that. So after we created order items, we need to set items for our order using those order items. So we can create our order, saved order using order repository and using our save function from that repository that using GPA, and provide our order model inside of it. And after that, we can clear our cart since our order was created. And after saving our order and clearing cart, we can try send message. And if we will have some error, this going to catch it to mail exception. So here we can use this email service and send order confirmation function that we created earlier. And we can just provide saved order inside. And if we will have a problem, we're gonna log error using this logger and right here failed to send order confirmation. And we can provide obviously ID of this order, but I will remind you that you can provide anything. For example, name, products, and etc. It's up to you. And also do not forget to provide error itself inside of this logger error. And finally, we just can return DTO version of our order using order mapper. Okay, so now we can start creating our needed function for create order items here. And of course we need to provide inside of this list order item. We can name it as create order items here and provide inside our cart and our order model. After that, we need to return our cart using cart get items, and we can stream and after that map for each cart item inside this function. We will create inside of this function product, find it by ID from the cart item product. Since our cart item is related to product, we need to get from this cart item needed product, and of course use a get ID function from this product inside cart item. And if it's not gonna return anything, we just can provide a throw with the entity not found exception. So we can write a message here that product not found, and we can write here our cart item products ID. After that, we need to check that our product quantity is not empty and that is not null. And if it's gonna be null, we can create a new throw exception. Throw new illegal state exception, which means that product quantity is not set for product. So after that, we can check that our product quantity is not less than our desired quantity that we are trying to create. And if it's going to be more, we can return this new throw exception with the insufficient stock exception and write that there is not enough stock for that product. And just provide the name of the product as we did it before. So after that, if there is no problems with quantity, we can set new quantity for product, since we are creating new order, which means that we need to make less quantity inside of our database. Since we created a new order, that means that we are getting those products away. And we can finally save it using product repository and save that product. So literally we got items from product, from cart item, and we are going to return all of this inside order item. And this function is going to be made for every items inside cart to every items inside order. That's why we are using this get items function from cart. So here we have some problem since we didn't write it our price, and here we still have a problem because of the okay, why we have that problem? Okay, because this is a list and we need to write that all of this must be collected as collectors to list. Okay, So, and after this function, we don't have any problems with the code. We can write a new function. And so I don't see the second one here. Okay, this is here. We can write the new message, the new function with a get all orders name. We will return just list of all orders, and this function is going to be created only for admin. So only admin will be able to make this action to get all orders together. So it's just gonna simply return DTOs that we write at inside of our order mapper, as you remember. And it's gonna return find all function using order repository. So next we need to create the new function, which going to return only users orders. So for example, we have a logged in user, and he must be able to return all orders that he created. That's why we will return, we will provide the user ID and return everything with the user ID. We are going to return DTOs and write inside that the same function, but with the find by user ID and provide user ID. I meant a repository, I'm sorry. So after that, we need to write a new function for updating order status, which is going to be created only for admin, since only admin will be able to change status for order. So here we will write this new order, and we need to find by ID using this order ID. And if it's not going to be found, then we can just throw new exception using resource not found exception and write message that order not found. And after that, we can just simply set a new status from the provided status here from this attribute. And we can finally save it using order updated order name and use repository with a function save. And we can provide order inside. And after that, we just can simply return our order, but with the DTO conversion using order mapper. And that's it. So our service is ready. Everything is all right. We also created email service, which is also all right. You can check it here. And now we can start implementing stuff for our exception. We need to provide all errors that we had from our exception, so that user will be able to see all those problems from service, all those exceptions that were created. That's why we need to create this new DTO with the error details name. Here we need to provide timestamp, message, and the details. We are doing it to be able to return all errors, all exceptions, and etc. to a user. For example, insufficient stock exception, resource not found exception, and global exception. And now we can create this order controller. We can add a REST controller annotation and request mapping annotation. Here we need to write a specific endpoint with the IP orders, and of course required args constructor. Here we can start implementing our order using order service. And since we created these error details, I need to write this global exception handler. Before implementing our order controller, we need to complete our global exception handler, and that's why we created these error details. Here we will write annotation with controller advice. If our controller made a mistake, inside of some service, for example. It's gonna help to provide this error to a user. That's why we are writing this controller advice annotation. And here we can write this handle resource not found exception. Here inside we can provide our resource not found exception itself with the name X and the web request here. And we can start writing all this. We need to get error details from our DTO and create a new instance of it using a new date, which is now. And after that we need to get a message from our exception, and we need to provide request here with the description, and inside we can just simply write false. So here also we need to return this as a response entity with the information of error details and HTTP status. And not found. That's it. So here we can write annotation with the exception handler and provide our resource not found exception. So when we will have an error while working with API, all those errors are going to be returned to user so he could understand why he is getting a problem. The same thing with insufficient stock exception that we created earlier, and we can just copy this insufficient stock exception, write it here. So, and write it the same. We actually can just copy if I made a mistake, and that's it. Okay, that's okay. And yeah, everything is all right. So we can copy this also and write the same but for global exception. And provide the simple exception here. Okay, everything is all right. Now we can return to our controller and start writing our first function for creation or order. And we can write here a response entity and provide inside of it order DTO. And of course we need to provide user details inside of it. Also as a parameter we can provide address, and also the same thing with the phone number, since we need them to create orders as we write it in service. So after that we need to get our user ID from user details, and that's why we need to create this user ID, use a model of user, and to get ID, which means we are getting ID from user details. After that we need to create new order. Here we need to provide user ID, address, and phone number, and we can just simply return response entity with this order DTO inside. With the status OK. That's it. And of course we need to clarify that this is a post mapping, which is post method. After that we need to clarify that user must be authenticated to be able to create order. That's why we are using this isAuthenticated function inside of the pre-authorized annotation, as we remember. And so after that we can create the second function. There we will return all orders. That's why we're going to use this list and order DTO inside of this list, and write here the name that get all orders. So, and here we can write create new list order DTO, and using order service we can use a function of getAllOrders and just simply return a response entity with those orders. And also we need to clarify that this is a get mapping, and we need to use pre-authorize and with the has role, since only admin is able to get all orders of all users. Okay. So we can actually copy this function and write here, add the user endpoint, and here we just need to change to is authenticated. That's it. And instead of the get all orders, we can write get user orders, and provide user details inside with the authentication principal annotation. And here we just need to copy this user ID since we already wrote it. And instead of this get all orders, we can use the get user orders and provide user ID. So we can copy it again, but change from get mapping to put mapping. See, it is for updating order status. That's why we need to provide as a path order ID and additional status endpoint for our API. So here obviously we need to use a has role, since only admin will be able to update statuses for orders. And here we need to provide order ID from this path variable from the order ID packets in our endpoint. And we need to get a parameter of the status. That's why we need to use this request param annotation, and we need to import our model and choose order status as a just status. So here we need to delete it and write order DTO with the name updated DTO, updated order. Here we can use our service and function of the update order status. And here we need to just simply provide order ID and status, and just simply save this updated order. Okay, we have a problem because of this list. We need to return only one order DTO. That's why you need to delete this list. Okay, here we need to launch our Docker for our database and Postman to be able to interact with our server. And we need to wait until it's gonna load. Here I need to show you where I got those SMTP information. I registered it here in Mailtrap, and here you can, as you see here, when you need to copy all of this to this application properties, here password, username, and etc. All of this, port, host. I got it from Mailtrap. It is completely free. You need to choose email testing and choose SMTP as I did. All this information you can do by yourself. Just simply choose email testing after registration, and that's it. That is completely free. Like, you don't need anything for it. Just register it. So, and we can finally launch our server. We need to a little bit wait, since my computer is launching a lot of things right now. It's gonna be a little bit laggy. Now we can just prepare our needed controllers endpoints. So we can create new using this button here, and here we need to provide a localhost and our server here. Yeah, this is very laggy, but I hope you will be patient about it, and it is still loading. That's okay. Here we need to provide a bearer token. Okay, it's too long, I guess. And here we can provide our parameter as address. It can be anything. For example, Wall Street, I don't know, Wall Street something. Okay, I guess it is launching now. We still don't have any issues. And it is started. That's okay. Now we can provide all our information for API orders. We can write, for example, Wall Street 12. After that, we need to write phone number and write anything we want. For example, 123, 123. Also, we need to provide a bearer token and change it to a post method and write a bearer token. We need to log in as a user. Since our last token is expired already, we can copy this web token from the login, write it here. And we can also check our cart. Check is it empty or not. Also, we need to change web token. Okay, everything is empty, and that's why we need to okay, for now we can just save this new request. We can name it as order create. Okay, it is created. We can check with the empty cart. Let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, our error details with the global exception handler works. We have a timestamp, we have message, and we have details. Okay, that's pretty good. For test, we need to, of course, add to our cart some products. And for example, it's gonna be 10. And we have a forbidden because we need to change our web token, of course, since we are using old web token here, which was expired already. Okay, we added successfully our this product to our cart as a cart item, and now we can check this order create. And everything is all right. It was created with the status preparing, of course. We can check our message. Yes, we see everything is all right. We even see this user to user2user.com that we write it as my username while we were registering. So everything is all right. Everything works. We can also check from our terminal here, from the Docker of the database. Here we need to write PSQL, write username and database as I did here. And we need to select all from users. And we see here that we have 2 users with admin role, with admin privileges. For testing purposes, I'm gonna create a new user, and which will not have any privileges. It's gonna be just simply user 3, for example, and with the same password. Okay. Okay, we have a role user, we have a hashed password, everything is all right. We can log in as this new user. Here we have this web token. And here we can provide this bearer token and write this one. As we remember, quantity was 100 and now it's 90, since our order excluded from database 10 products. Okay, we can create this second endpoint with get all orders. It's gonna be the same, but without parameters and with the get method. Also, we need to provide this authorization. Okay, that's all right. We can change it to get all And we see here that our simple user cannot, he don't have access. And that's why, because only admin is able to get all orders. That's why our simple user is not able to get all orders, list of all orders. Here we see that this user has a role admin in our database, and user 2 have a role admin. And now we can check token of the user second with the admin privileges, and we can check that with his token, with his login, everything is going to work. Yes, everything works, which means our checking role works correctly. Okay, and now we can try to return this and check this again. It's gonna have a access denied, yes, but we can check with the endpoint user what's gonna happen if we will use this second mapping with the user clarification. And we have a status OK, which means everything is all right, just we don't have any orders yet. We can create new order using this web token of the user role. And here we have a cart not found, which is okay because we don't added to our cart anything. We can check and write one here, create, add to our cart the product using this second user account and create order out of it. And everything works fine. Here we have an order confirmation and order text inside with the provided order ID, which means everything works fine. Yes. And we can try to use this, we can copy it and delete this one from here, this user endpoint from here, and add it here. And we can check that we have order. Okay, we have order with quantity 1 as we wanted. Okay, we can save all of this together. And we can save this also. Everything is all right. So finally, we can try to create changing status with using admin privilege. But before, I want to change this one, this one's name, and also we need to change this name. Get user, for example, order, and that's it. So finally, we can copy this one and change the name. And here we will write update, for example, order, status order. And write here put method, since we used put mapping, and write some order ID and status endpoint in our request method, in our request here in our path of the request. Okay, we have access denied since we are logged in as a simple user. We can log in as a user 2 that have admin privilege. Here we will write get all orders using this admin web token. Everything works. And we can try to change the second status from preparing to, for example, delivering. We can return to this update status and provide here a second ID, which means second order, and write here order status. And write here new web token of the admin and provide parameter with the status. As we remember, we have preparing, delivering, delivered, cancelled. We can choose, for example, delivering one in parameters. And write simply status. And check this out. Okay, we see that everything works fine. All our endpoints work correctly. We can get a user ID and we have a status delivering. Everything works okay. I hope you liked this video. In the next video we will create pagination for our getting all products, and we will create categories for products, and maybe we will create confirmation while we are registering to our server. And I hope you liked the video. Write comments, subscribe to my channel. See you later in the next video. Bye bye. Hello guys, today I'm going to show you the way how we can create confirmation of our email while user will registrate, and also I will show you the way how we can create pagination so that when user will get all products, he's going to get certain amount of them in a certain page, and of course he can go to another page and see different products with the same amount, and that's why we are going to create pagination. And for that we need to create first of all we need to create image request, email confirmation request, and we can create it here in DTO package. For that we need to name it like email confirmation request, and after that we can add annotation with data annotation that is going to create automatically our setters and getters for our attributes inside of our class, which means that when will be created instance of class, there automatically is going to be setted and getted all those methods for those attributes. So after that we need to add the is confirmed attribute to user, which means that this can be true or false, whether true that email was confirmed or not. And after that we need to create string for confirmation code. There we will keep our confirmation code until it is confirmed. So after that we can go to our email service and create our send confirmation email method here. For that we need to provide our user to be able to identify to who sent message. And we can simply copy this part of the code and change some data here, such as instead of order we need to get user and get his email, and that's it. So in subject we just need to change the text with a confirm your email. After that we can set the text. We can set this please confirm your email by entering this code. And here we will provide get confirmation code from user, and that's it. So our method for sending is ready, and now we can go further to user service. Here we can create our confirm email function, and inside of it of course we will have email and confirmation code itself. Inside of this method we can create user, get user by email that we provided to this function. And if this user actually is equal to confirmation code that was provided to user's confirmation code, then it means that we can change email confirmed to true instead of false. And of course we can delete the data from confirmation code of the user after that. So that's why we are going to use our user that we got from email, set email confirmed and confirmation, and set confirmation code to null, because we don't need to save this confirmation code anymore since we already confirmed our user. So after that, if it is not equal, we just can throw a new exception, such as bad credential exception, and provide inside of it invalid confirmation code. And that's it. So after that, we could create the second function method with a generate confirmation code. By the name, you can understand that this is simply going to create new confirmation code for user. It is going to be added later to registration method inside of the user service. For that, of course, we need to use random class to generate random number between 100,000 to 900,000, since we need to generate 6 numbers code. And that's why we are going to set here a random next int to this number. Everything between is going to be created randomly. So after that, we could return this value that was created, but of course converted to a string, because our function is type of string. So now we need to use those functions. Here we can create our we can set this confirmation code first of all, and just generate it using this. After that, we need to send this confirmation code, set confirmation code to false, since we registered it now. And of course, we need to send our email using this email service. Here we can provide send confirmation code method, and inside of this method we can provide our user and user email and confirmation code. I forgot how our method looks like. We can check it again. Okay, here we just simply have a user, so we can just write user here. Okay, and that's it, which means that our confirmation code is going to be generated, and confirmation boolean is going to be false. And if this email will be confirmed, then of course it's going to be changed to true. That's why we need to create a new endpoint for our auth controller, and we can simply name it confirm email using a post mapping, of course, because we are going to send data to our server such as code and email. And inside of it, of course, we can write response entity is going to return nothing, and okay, we can name it confirm email, and inside of it we will provide our request body, and this is going to be our DTO that we created before with email confirmation request. As you remember, we have their email and confirmation code itself. That's why we are going to make a try catch, and first we will try to confirm our email using user service, and after that we can write this get email and confirmation code from user. So yeah, and return our response entity if this service was okay. This confirmation email was okay. And if email was not confirmed and it provided a throw, as we remember with the bad credential exception, then we can catch it using this bad credential exception E, and just return to response entity bad request, and with the body just invalid confirmation code. So, and of course we could catch resource not found exception in case if something was not found, and that's why we are going to use this resource not found exception, and just simply return not found build. So after that, we could make sure that not confirmed email cannot create order, since he was not confirmed. That's why we're gonna check here in create order function in the order service. We're going to check that user was confirmed, and if he is not confirmed, and then we just can throw illegal state exception here. So we can just write this simple text that email was not confirmed. Please confirm email before placing order. So finally we could launch our database in Docker, and we could actually check that everything works fine. So that's why we can go to our mail trap and touch this email pasting. As we remember from previous videos, here we can try to launch it from scratch using create in application properties. We can launch the post one. We have some verifying, that's okay. So our server is started completely okay without any errors, and we need to be sure that this works. I already created this auth confirm HTTP method here in postman using post, of course. We will register now a new user. I remind you that my server is launching from scratch and it is not updating. It is, and we see here that we have this confirmation code that was sent to user 1. So we can go to this auth confirm. Here I already prepared those JSON file. Here we need to write not correct code for this email, and we see that invalid confirmation code was appeared, and when we will pass this correct from email, we see that email was confirmed successfully. So which means that everything works correctly. And so yeah, we could go further and we could go start implementing our pagination. And since everything works here, for that we need to go to our product repository and change from list to page. And you're gonna import it using tab, of course, as I did, and right inside of this pageable, which also is going to be imported, and right here pageable from the domain import library. So we can go further to our product service, and here we need to provide our pageable information, which page and which size, and here we need to change from list to page again, and we need to provide this pageable inside of this function of the repository. Here we also need to change to page in product controller and provide inside of this default information, page default information, which is going to be size with size 10. It means that our one page is going to contain 10 different products. The second page is will be max size 10, and etc. And after that, we need to write this pageable and provide this pageable to our product service function with get all products. So as you remember, here we have a completely new database. I'm going to check all of this together, but first I need to change here from create to update before that. And yes, here we can just simply change to update so that our information is not going to be disappear next time when we will launch this server. And we can start simply checking all these new controllers and features that we added. First of all, of course, we will register a new user. It's going to be admin for testing purposes, of course. And we can go next. We see that this was registered with this email, and we have here our confirmation code that was generated, and here we have our confirmation of the email that was sent to our mail. So here we see that this endpoint with confirm email, we can write here admin and admin.com, provide here our confirmation code, send it, and we see that email confirmed successfully. So we can go to our database using this command in terminal of this Docker container, and we can select all data from users. And here I will show you the way I will create different users that was confirmed and not confirmed to show you that that confirmed email is going to be able to make order, and the second one is going to be requested to make confirmation of the email. Here our user one is going to be confirmed. We are going to use this code from email. This was confirmed, and second one is going to be not confirmed. We will purposely not confirm him to show you that he will not be able to create orders. But first, I would like to show you this table with users, and I want to show you the way how we can change role of the admin. Here we need to write this command update users set role admin, and we need to clarify where ID is 1, which is admin. And here we see that this admin has role admin here, because we changed it in database. And this one that was not confirmed still has this confirmation code, and because he was not confirmed already, if he will be confirmed, of course this confirmation code is going to be null. Now we can log in using this admin. Here, as we remember from previous videos, we need to change this bearer token with this new token that we created using login. Here we will change some data, and we can try to send it. Okay, it was sent. We just can do it many times. As we remember, the first value with product has inside of the value all these JSON properties, and in the second with image we just have simple file. So here we can get all products with a page and size, and here we see that we have a size of 10, and we can go to the next page. Here we have only one product left, 11, with the ID 11. So we can change actually size, for example, to 5 instead of 10, and we see here from 6 to 10. We can go to the 0 page. Here we have from 1 to 5, and etc. So actually, if you want to check that this is going to be confirmed or not, whether it's confirmed or not, we can check it using order service. And after that, you can go to this cart method using this bearer token, and you can provide here this bearer token that we got from our login method. And after that, we can see that this order is able to create only if you have confirmation of this user that was created in our database, as we see here. And of course we got this order confirmation in our email. So after that we can go to this second user to check that if he was not confirmed, he will not be able to place this order since his email was not confirmed. And we can simply check it in Postman. We can use this login method, copy this bearer token and place it in our add cart token. So we create this cart, and out of this cart we can place order in our server. And we see here, after this sending, we see this message with the exception that this email was not confirmed, and that we need to confirm this email to create order.